I have a massive list of questions to ask you. Some might be quite quick fire, some might be longer. But when you're done answering, I'll just ask you the next one. So here we go. Have you always been into training?
No.
Why?
Oh, because I was really fat and disgusting and lazy growing up. The only sport I play, I did two sports. I had horse riding, which
Sitting down.
involves the horse doing the exercise and you sitting on the horse, and hockey. But I immediately went to playing goal, and I used to my style of goalkeeping was this thing called walling, which basically involved lying down. You lay down across the length of the goal
Excellent.
to block the balls, and then you just like move your arm to try to, I'd have to get up every now and again, but most of my hockey was spent sitting or lying down.
Okay, so who introduced the fat kid to training?
Oh, a girlfriend. Yes, I had a girlfriend when I was 19, or 17 actually. It was her dad. He had a book on the Arnold Schwarzenegger's modern encyclopedia of modern bodybuilding on his table, and a gym in his garage. It was just an Argos weight set, but he had like a piece of scaffolding suspended from the rafters that you do for pull-ups. Not like I could do pull-ups. And then from there, he took me to Don Styler's gym, and that's the rest. And then that's when I got quote unquote into training.
And when did you know that training was going to be something you always did, like a fixed, firm part of your life?
Oh, when I just decided to do it. I'm very strange like that. If I pick something up, I don't put it down. Like I won't stop doing something. So once I started training with that girlfriend's dad, I was never going to stop because you just don't. And then you get the results. The problem with training as well is that a lot of people have the attitude that I'm going to say, particularly with weight loss, actually, more than anything else. But they have the attitude that I'm just going to train really hard to get my dream body, and then they have no plan for what
Yeah.
happens after that. They think that's it. Whereas in reality, it isn't that way. If you stop, you lose your results, don't you? So you have to keep going, really. So, and I think that's true of most people. Once they actually find something that works to deliver meaningful results that they can hold on to with little fuss or hassle and then build upon, they don't want to stop.
Mm,
Where people stop and they fall off the wagons because that's not happening.
yeah.
They're training in a way that's not actually productive, that's either too demanding or not demanding enough, and they get bored of it and they quit. So there we go.
Cool. When did you come closest to falling off the wagon?
Uh, I think honestly, I've not. I mean, I've had dietary dalliances where I've regained a lot of weight. Well, not a lot, not even a lot of weight really. I've had dietary dalliances where I've regained weight. I've had periods where I've been injured and I've not been able to train as well as I'd like. I mean, there was probably about a 4 year period where I couldn't deadlift, where I nearly split my hamstring in two, and then I couldn't deadlift at all for like
Mm.
4 years, um, until I found and paid uh, a physio and a PT to sort the deadlift out. And probably would have been less than 4 years of not being able to deadlift had I, not been so parsimonious. But no, there's never been a point where I've come close. I've had times where I've not been able to train as well. When we first moved in together, and I allowed my diet to be a bit less strict to make it less imposing for you. And well, I say my diet strict, you know what I mean. I don't have a
Yeah.
strict diet, never have, but I was ate a bit more like a normie to make things easier for you, which meant I gained a bit of weight.
Mm.
But the idea of not training or just I'm done with this just has never entered my psyche.
No, and the as closest you come, but the greatest opportunity for you to have fallen off the wagon was probably COVID because you were training heavy
Oh,
and bulking, weren't you?
oh yeah, that was bad. Yeah, when we were all told to hide under our beds, for our health and order eat takeaway because that was
Don't go
best
to the gym.
best public health measure ever. Anyway, when that happened, I was trying to get. I was heart set on a 230 kilo squat, and I was getting really close to it. But obviously, to do that, I had to get quite fat. 'Cause don't abuse steroids, and you got to eat the food to get the strength. And yeah, then the gym shut, and I was in a position where I was a bit too heavy to productively do much body weight work, and
Mm.
running was a slog. So yeah, that was bad. But then to be fair, I lost quite a lot of weight during COVID, didn't I? Because of all the running that I was doing. Did the couch to 5K thing, and eventually I was able to get reasonably competent at bodyweight stuff.
I was going to say that was probably the sowing of the seeds of your GPP.
Oh yeah, and bodyweight buccaneer and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's based on some of the stuff I did back then. But yes, next question, please.
Next question. What made you decide to make fitness your business?
Well, can't do anything else, can I? Got no other skills. I mean, I'm a pretty good copywriter, but AI is going to take that. So I figured I might as well just sell my own offers, and fitness being something I'm good at. I mean, obviously, I had a gym, and well, that was a disaster, wasn't it? Great results for the clients, but I had no idea how to run a business. And opening a very expensive personal training studio in a deprived area is really not a smart business decision, was it? I wasn't really wise. No, I've always been enamored by the idea of just writing and selling fitness books. So I just finally decided to do it after a few false starts, should we say, Jess? But
Well, that was my question. Why fitness books?
oh, why fitness books? Oh, because it's the best way to learn stuff. It irritates me no end when I see PTs they following their clients around the gym like a lost puppy, getting 30, 40 quid an hour to maybe count some reps as they take someone through a random selection of exercise, not actually teaching clients anything. And also this kind of person that is attracted to pay by the hour PT isn't someone who's likely to actually maintain their any results they get for very long because their only or primary reason for training is the fact that they're paying someone to make sure they turn up and then
Mhm.
stand over them while they do it. These are not kind of my quote unquote people. I'm far more interested in catering to people who want to take a bit of ownership over their fitness and are prepared to actually learn how to do it themselves so that when they stop paying me, because that is a when, every client has a lifetime, they will be well equipped to carry on doing what they've been doing pretty much indefinitely off into the future. So that's why fitness books really.
Cool. Next question. Do you ever enjoy training, especially now it's your job?
Yeah, sometimes, not often, but sometimes. I mean, would you enjoy something that you've been doing broadly the same week in week out for 15, 16 years? Probably not. You get bored of it. So you wouldn't enjoy it often. But there are times where I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good. There are certain lifts I enjoy doing. Like I enjoy doing clean and presses, for example. I just because they're a technical movement that's well, they're not that they're more technical than most barbell movements, and not as technical as the true Olympic lifts. So things like clean and jerks and snatches. But there's a little bit of thinking and athletic stuff too. I quite like doing those. Look forward to doing those. Uh, quite like quite like doing the bodyweight stuff in the park too.
I was going to say, do you think your change to mostly training out of the gym has
Yeah, but
given you
that's
a bit of a
but that's that's no different to that. That's just dopamine, isn't it? It's
mm,
a change of scenery. But I just enjoy the act of being outside in the field at 6 in the morning and there being no one around and fresh air. That's nice.
yeah,
So, but no, I wouldn't say I look forward to every day. But there we are. So the answer's kind of, but not really.
kind of sometimes?
Yeah.
What's the biggest problem with the fitness industry today?
What's the biggest problem with the fitness industry? I don't really know because I don't follow it. Um, I'd say there's kind of one issue that troubles me, should we say, and that's quackery. You get PTs, personal trainers, like LARPing as physiotherapists, working with people who've got quite serious kind of musculoskeletal issues and prescribing these strange like mobility routines that are very loosely based in science. That concerns me a little bit. Um, but and then the stuff around diet as well, like PTs offering diet plans and things. I don't like that because it's not within their scope of practice. The only person who should be giving a prescriptive diet plan is a registered dietitian. But other than that, I don't really pay much attention to it. In terms of the stuff I read is old old stuff. So we're talking things like the Reg Park Journal, which was written in the 50s. Yeah, you can find all these things in dark corners of the internet, old blogs, independent blogs, places like that, old interviews with people like Steve Reeves, that he didn't give many interviews, but there are a few of them floating around. That's where I get my information. I
Mhm.
don't really stay up to date, for want of a better term. Like I don't follow anyone on Instagram or YouTube to really criticize what they're doing. So yeah, sorry, a bit of a non-answer that, wasn't it?
Can we just cycle back to PTs giving diet advice?
Yeah,
Because it was certainly news to me. I guess because it's so common.
what's what people want. So people, it's what people want. It's what the market is asking for, right? So it's what the market's asking for, and there's no legislation around it. So obviously, I was a paramedic, right?
Mm.
And that is a legally protected title. You have to be registered with HCPC to be a paramedic. There are only certain things that only a paramedic can do. So there's certain drugs that only a paramedic can give, literally written into the Medicines Act, like Schedule 17, or I think it's Schedule 17 or Schedule 19, the Medicines Act. That's probably even the wrong name of the law. This is why I'm not a lawyer. But the point is there are only certain like to be a registered paramedic, you can only do certain things. So if you were like my colleague on an ambulance, there are certain drugs that only I can give. You can't give them. It's not You're not allowed.
Mhm.
I can do it without a prescription as a paramedic. Um, with diet, there's no such
Definition,
just definitions, or
distinction.
they are told on their PT courses, because I was told on mine, that you shouldn't be writing meal plans. And most people were shocked in the room, were actually shocked that they're not allowed to do that, really, because they're not trained or qualified to do it. All PTs are allowed to do per their training is parrot government guidance,
Mm.
and like give like basic common sense strategies around like how to make healthy eating work for you, not what to eat and when to eat it.
Mhm.
It's a subtle but important distinction. But no, like people want it, so PTs will offer it. People will offer it. The risk of getting it wrong is quite low. I'm not gonna inflate the risk for to emphasize my point. It's to me it's a moral issue. Like should one do that, or I think is it morally right to do that? And the answer is no. And there are some risks, like stuff like because when you write someone a meal plan, Jess, you're you tell them to eat these things, you're also implicitly telling them what they're not allowed to eat, and that can very easily cause things like nutrient deficiencies, and stuff. It can also trigger compulsive behaviors in certain people who are prone to those sorts of things. So, eating disorders,
Mm.
that sort of stuff. And there are a lot of those bubbling under the surface in people who pursue help with who take their fitness seriously. So it's just a bit of a messy area, but they definitely shouldn't be doing it. And it's made very clear to PTs when they're trained that that's not what they're allowed to do. Even nutritionists as well. Like nutrition's like the most bullshit qualification ever. Like I don't really know what the point of it is, because like they're not allowed to write diet plans either. So it's because I've actually spoken to a couple of dietitians, and diet plans, as in 7 o'clock you're going to eat some porridge for breakfast, 100 grams of porridge for breakfast, 10 o'clock you're going to have that kind of level of meal planning. Like they don't really use that as a tool all that often,
Mm.
because of what I've just talked about with the fact that it's implicitly telling people what they can't have, and it creates a very unhealthy relationship with food, I think.
Mm. Fascinating, thank you.
Couldn't
Um,
have been any more insistent when you said fasting.
Thing is, I do find it fascinating, and
Yeah.
we've had this conversation lots of times.
Yeah, we have.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
think
no,
it's
it's
fascinating,
it's an
and
interesting area.
you've explained it really well about why,
Well, thanks,
like, you
Jess.
don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Do you want more questions?
Yeah, give me
Or
one more because we're at
okay,
13 minutes.
why is training so important when you have kids?
Oh, why is training important when you have kids? Well, everyone wants their child to be fit, healthy, strong, and live a long and happy life. Yeah, that is you can't be a good parent
Parenting
if
101.
you can't be a good parent if you don't want those things, right? But in order for that to happen, that has to be modeled to the child. You can't sit on the sofa in your soiled joggers and wag your finger at them and tell them about you need to do this to lead a healthy lifestyle. You should be exercising. You should spend less time on your iPad and get out and play in the street. Blah 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 blah. Because they're going to look at you and go, well, "Why?
Yeah.
You're not doing it." So training as a parent is mandatory, I believe, because you're modeling to the child what a smart, sustainable exercise relationship with exercise looks like, and they will by default want to emulate that, at least when they're young. I mean, I'm only a parent of, how old's Connie?
5.
Okay, so oldest child's 5. So I'm no authority on this, but because Connie has grown up seeing me and you training, we're not making a big deal out of it, just like we go out for a walk, we go out for a run,
Mm.
we lift weights at my parents' house in the garage, and she sees us doing it. And she's been seeing us doing that since she was like 2, able to form memories. And now she's we were at Sports Direct the other day, and she wanted me to buy her a dumbbell
Mm.
so she can join in. And I was training at my mum's garage the other day. She just popped in and she wanted to join in. She watched, she did her own little squats and stuff. And sometimes she doesn't do it every time. She's not following like a rigid routine. I'm not got her doing anything like that. But most weeks she wants to get involved and do something, and I'm confident that that will continue.
Yeah.
So really, it's for the sake of the children is why you should train. Um, so there we are. That'll do. Cool, 15 minutes. So that'll do for this week. Um, if you've gotten all the way through, you should probably subscribe to the YouTube channel. That'd be good. Join the 6 others. But more important than that, get onto my email list if you're not on that already, which you can do via my homepage, philtimon.co.uk. There's a big green button to click to opt in, put your email address in. Get a daily email newsletter from me. And yeah, that'll do. And I will continue with this next week.